Welcome to If the Walls Could Talk in Buffalo podcast with Don Purdy, former member of the Buffalo Bills front office, 27 years, and Josh Cormier, a member of the coaching staff under the Wade Phillips regime. And we are here, as always, to talk with you about the Buffalo Bills of 1990 and, of course, 2022.
Welcome to If the Walls Could Talk in Buffalo. Don, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine, Josh. How about you?
Well, I'm doing great. You know, I figured we might want to talk about the game and the tough loss. And
Josh, here's how I see it. We're on to Cleveland.
You don't want to talk about, Josh Allen in the red zone and all the turnover struggles?
Let me rephrase it. We're on to Cleveland.
You sure you don't want to talk about that Justin Jefferson and all that?
I think we'll just go with we're on to Cleveland.
Well, I guess the only other option is maybe we talk to an all-time Bills Wall of Famer, one of my favorite players of all time, and a legend, Darryl Talley. What do you think about that?
I can get on board with that. I'm good. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat. We are on with the great fan favorite Darryl Talley. He's an Ohio native who was an All-American at the University of West Virginia. Inducted into the College Hall of Fame, second-round pick by the Bills in 1983. Played 12 seasons with the Bills, never missing a game. Ended up being the Bills' all-time leading tackler. Also had 183 interception return yards, two of which, not yards, but picks, we're going to talk about shortly. Huge fan favorite with the Spider-Man arms and always knew where to be on D. Around one Bills drive, he's known as the one person that could tell Bruce Smith, number 78, what to do. Is that right? Did I get anything wrong? Did I leave anything else?
No, you got it all right. That was my roommate. That was my roadie.
All right. So, you got in arguments over, toothbrushes and stuff like that?
We got in arguments about him sleeping because he had sleep apnea the first time. And he scared the shit out of me when I slept in the room with him. I jumped up out of the bed because he was breathing and snoring and tearing the paint off the wall. And then all of a sudden it quit. So I jump up out of the bed and shaking. Bruce, you all right? He goes, what the fuck's wrong with you? Me and him are sitting there. And it's about 2 or 3 in the morning. But he scared me because I didn't know he had sleep apnea.
Sounded like a bear or something. So
yeah,
we're going to get into more. That's funny. So you're calling from Cleveland, right?
Yes, I'm at my mom's house.
All right. Nice.
So Darryl, going back to your early days playing football as a kid, and then you get obviously recruited to the University of West Virginia. You played fullback in high school. What made you pick West Virginia? Were a lot of colleges after you? How did that go?
I got a bit of a different story than most everybody that you know. I was only a kid how many guys how many varsity football games do you think I played in, first of all?
I would say 30 or 40.
And 30 or 40, right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
None. You want to try again? Zero. No.
Okay.
I played in 10 varsity football games and got a full ride to West Virginia University.
That is a great time.
Here's the thing, and the reason for that was I broke my hand my junior year, and I missed 3 games. My senior year, I cracked my left ankle we had a cinder track running around our field. I cracked my ankle on it, so I didn't get to play but 3 games. But in those 3 games, we played against the number 4, 5, and 3 team in the state of Ohio. And in 2 of those games, I made every tackle on the field just about, but 2. And the last game, everybody said, no, we ain't having that no more. The rest of my teammates said, we ain't having that no more. Talley ain't making all the tackles. I'm going to make some of them. So the next week, they were all trying to beat me to the ball. And I said, you ain't going to beat me to the ball. I'm going to make it. I'm going to do it. And I wound up getting a scholarship. I mean, first of all, I was a real small kid growing up. I was little, fast, and feisty as hell. I would fight anybody, do anything. I wasn't going to take any garbage from anybody. I was going to stand my ground, make sure everybody respected me and did what was right. And being a little guy, I was so small in elementary school, the girls were bigger than me. And I'm black and Indian mixed, so now I got this stringy hair and I go to school with 98% all black people. So now you got everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. What are so I had to fight all through junior high. Elementary school I had to fight just about every day. In junior high I fought just about every 2 days, every 3 days, because I started getting a little bigger, closer to the size of some of the other kids. And when I finally got to be to their size, now I'm mind you, I'm not even I'm 5'6", weighing 146 pounds.
Yeah, that's small. Yeah.
Then I grew in my senior year. I grew from 5'6" to 6'1". And that summer, my mom had me. She'd buy my school clothes, and I went to put them on. And I had been moving the crutches myself, and I went to put them on, and she got me the same size pants because I was a little skinny kid. So she got them, brought them home. She said, "You wearing shorts to school today, the first day of school." I wasn't wearing dress pants or long pants because back then we all wore dress pants to school. We didn't wear jeans. So I had to my pants were like 4 inches short, and my mother just looked at me. "Put some shorts on. That's how you got to go to school."
Wow.
So,
when did you know, Darryl, that you were really good at football?
When did I know I was really good?
Yeah.
Look at that tackle.
I thought I was good when I played Pee Wee, bud. Because I played in the city league, and everybody else that I went to school with played in the suburban league. They played all the suburb schools, and very rarely played any of the inner city schools. I played in the inner city and lived in the suburbs. Because
John played too in the NFL. Was he older than you or younger than you, or how did he play?
My brother's younger than me. My brother was. Here's the best part about my brother. My brother's a better athlete than I am. My brother broke every record I ever set. I was one of the first 9, 10, 11-year-olds to broad jump 7'11". Wow. My brother came along and jumped 8 feet. So,
yeah.
And when it comes down to comparing athletic skills, no, he was a quarterback coming out of high school, and he led the nation as a freshman. He's got a letter saying that he was a very good quarterback, and he ran into some. How do I want to play it? In West Virginia, he ran into. How do I want to put this? A quarterback that was racist.
Okay.
A quarterback coach that was racist towards my brother. And he had a lot of problems with the quarterback coach and stuff like that. So my brother said, "Look, I don't have to play for this man. I'm back at West Virginia." Then he moved to wide receiver. My brother's never played wide receiver a day in his life. He played wide receiver and he returned kicks, which he never did. My brother is slower than I am. He runs 4.6, but was second in the nation in returning kicks his senior year. And yeah, he got a chance to play with the Cleveland Browns. He was Ozzie Newsome's backup.
Yeah. Okay, right. Wow.
So yeah, I've actually got a chance. I got a chance to play against my brother here in Cleveland, which I had one. Oh no, I picked up. Well, what happened was what's his name? Mike Pagel came out. He was the quarterback. He had set one play up. He ran the play with Ozzie Newsome. Then he came out and flipped the whole thing over and tried to run the same play with my brother. I looked at it and I went, "This is the same. This is going to be the same thing. Everybody set up the same way. It's the same play." So I knew what they were running. And when they went to throw the out route to my brother, I picked the ball up and ran 60 yards with it.
That's beautiful.
That is. So yeah, go ahead.
And the best part about that whole deal is he was playing for the Cleveland Browns, and both of us were at home playing at Metropolitan Stadium downtown Cleveland.
So the 89, you don't remember what year that was? Because obviously we're going to talk about the 89 playoff game and the Ronnie Harmon drop. Hate to paint it that way. There's a famous.
I don't really think that's a drop. If you really look at it,
Okay.
Ronnie Harmon jumped. He had a 40-inch vertical, 40-inch plus vertical. And when you look at Ronnie's all the way up in the air, and he's on his way down, and the ball's going over it.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
I like it. I think it's a tougher catch. Just looking at it as a layman, it looks like a tougher catch than people ever give it credit for.
I think with him, he made so many spectacular catches during the regular season that
they expected that.
Yeah, right.
They expected Ronnie to catch it because Ronnie, to put it mildly, I had some of the best I've ever seen come out of the backfield to try and cover. So Ronnie Harmon was just in a long list of guys that were in Buffalo that were great running backs coming out of the backfield. We had a guy by the name of Roland Hooks, Joe Cribbs, Greg Bell, and Ronnie Harmon. Yeah. Then we got Thurman Thomas, the ultimate back.
Great name. So obviously we're talking about the Bills, but we'll back up a little bit. On the phone the other day, I told you we're probably going to talk about when you were drafted to the NFL, and you said you remember it like it was yesterday. So,
oh my God,
tell us about that.
Well, when I got drafted, back then the news media came to your house or whatever. So the news media is here. They're at the house. My dad's father was still alive. He had one leg amputated above the knee and one below the knee. And my grandfather was here, and when I got drafted, I was told I was going to be in the top 5, but then they looked at me and I had a pinched nerve in my neck and shoulder my junior year, and the draft was so potent back then and so filled with people that were really good players that a lot of them right now are in Canton, that just any little nick on you causes you to drop. So I dropped from about the third. I was supposed to go to San Diego where Billy Ray Smith went. I didn't go into the second round, and I went to the Bills. I was the Bills' third pick. The first pick was Tony Hunter. The second pick was Jim Kelly. I was the third pick.
That's a famous draft, that 83 draft.
And
Elway,
yeah.
And right.
That was the first year we had 6 quarterbacks, but everybody forgets about the other 2 guys who were in that draft.
Yeah,
Mike Hohensee is one, and Gary Kubiak was the other.
Yeah.
So Darryl, how did you? So back then, obviously, media was way different. Like, were you waiting for a call from the Bills?
I was sitting at home with all my family and all the TV cameras in the house. I looked at them. My girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, Janine was here with me, and we were here for the draft to see where we were going. And at that point, we're sitting there watching. After the first 6 picks went by, I got up, I had to leave. I left, and I started walking with my grandfather. I put him in his wheelchair, and we walked down the street. I walked down the street to the bridge, came back up the street with my grandfather, came in the house with him, and then the Buffalo Bills called me and told me I was going to be drafted. They were drafting me in the second round.
Right.
And I looked at everybody.
The Buffalo. What'd you think about Buffalo, if anything?
Well, when I first here's how naive I was about it. When they first told me, I said, "Oh, Buffalo, you're going to New York. I'm gonna be able to go to New York City. I can go hang out in the city." Little did I know, I was 5.5 to 6 hours away from the city, so there was no way I was going to be
in the same time, right?
Yeah, I'm going. No. I got 5. No, I couldn't get to Cleveland. Cleveland's a whole lot closer.
Right. Yeah. After this.
So I'm like, damn. I got 6 hours, and my wife was from New Jersey, and I was like, how far is this really? I looked at it, I was like, oh no. So then I looked at Buffalo, and I said, oh, it's on Lake Erie, so I'm good. It's just like being in Cleveland. Same type people, salt of the earth people that, if you talk to them and you're playing for them or doing something, people are going to try and help you and try and see what they can do to get you through this particular situation. So I was actually pretty good at it. I was happy because I had the same type of people around me as that I had in Cleveland. and in West Virginia, because if you look at all three places that I've been, everywhere that I've ever been, I've had rabid fans that would come out in droves. They came out in droves in Buffalo. They came out in droves in West Virginia. And they came out in droves in Cleveland here when I played in high school. So, I mean, high school games used to get 20,000 people at.
Yeah. Yeah, like Western Pennsylvania. It's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's so coming to Buffalo wasn't that much of an adjustment for you, but
Oh, no.
Right? The team was struggling.
They hadn't been to the playoffs then since 1980.
Right.
And when I got there in 83, we missed the playoffs by one game. And we lost in Kansas City that year. Had we won the game in Kansas City, we would have been in the playoffs. Then the following 3 years, we were 2-14, 4-12, 2-14, and 4-12.
Yeah,
2-14 twice.
Right.
2-14 twice.
Yep.
And
that's what allowed you to get your roommate. The 2-14 record allowed you to get your roommate on the road, right?
No, not really.
Well,
it did.
First,
Yeah,
right?
it did. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. It allowed me to do that. Yes.
So Pete Metzelaar has told us he was in Seattle in 83 and 84, so he must have been in the same draft class as you. And he said, Seattle, they said, if you're not playing well, Buffalo is where we're going to threaten to send you. And, of course, it happened. But so he went through those early years with you. Ended up, he and Barb loved Buffalo. I mean, so, guys, when you finally, like 87 was kind of a turning point. When Bennett came on, you were 500. 88, of course, the championship game. Right?
88 was 87 really was the year we turned everything around. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting there in 87 and sitting in the locker room talking to Cornelius after the game. Our last game, I think, was against the Eagles. I said, we were sitting there because his locker was next to me, and I told him, I said, dude, if they leave us alone, we're going to be pretty goddamn good. And he looked at me. I said, that bullshit you not. If they leave us alone, we're going to be pretty damn good. And he looked at me. And he said, why do you say it? I said, look, dude, we got shit nobody else has got. And he looked at me, and everybody bought in. And the good thing about that is I've always wondered, what was the Bills Brain Trust thinking when they drafted all of us? Because here's the reason why I say that. Everybody that was on our team, to a man, I said all of us were family guys, and we all believed in family, and we all came from that type of background where it was a caring family and everybody cared about each other. And that's why I wonder why or who or what was the mechanism they used to draft us, because to get that many people, like-minded people in the same room trying to do something is really unheard of.
Yeah. And you're talking about 87. You had that revelation.
That was at the end of the year in 87.
And so little did you know that in 88, Bill Polian would take a chance on a running back that, missed time because of a broken leg at Oklahoma State. And boy, what an addition he would be.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. You do not have to tell me. That he's perhaps the most complete back there is to play. Ever played a game, I think.
Do you think it was rare, Darryl? Do you think it was rare that you guys got along so well, that you guys were so tight knit, as a family? I mean, obviously there's the whole bickering Bills thing, whatever, but it just seemed like you guys were such a family. Was that rare in the NFL?
Yes, it was. It was very rare to find so many guys to get along and that would hold each other accountable. Because back then, everybody was just out. It seems like everybody was out for themselves when I first came into the league. Everybody was, because some of the older guys when I first got there would look at you like you were crazy or cross-eyed if you asked them, well, what do I do on this play? Guys weren't freely giving away information because they knew they were fighting for their job. So at that point, they were, how do I want to say it? Some guys would hold back information. Well, I'm going to tell you, you need to read it and learn it yourself.
Did you use a threat?
No, didn't use a threat at all. But that's what they seem like. Some guys would help you and other guys wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I would be like, this doesn't make any sense. And I said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to change the culture. We're going to do this so everybody can play. And here's the thing. I'm a big proponent of it. I was like, look, I said, if I'm the weakest link on this chain, I'll never break. You'll never have to worry about me breaking if I'm the weakest link. So I want everybody to be better than me. So now I'm the weakest link. And now I know this damn chain ain't going to break.
So Darryl, I have a confession to make, and I need to thank you for something. I was 14 years old in 1990, and my second ever game was the AFC Championship game, the 51-3 game. And I was here with my dad, and I was above the tunnel in the end zone, growing up here in Buffalo, and super psyched for the game, whatever else. And you have my most favorite play in Bills history, your interception of Jay Schrader to go up 21-3. My dad was so happy after that play that he shared a beer with me at 14. So you are the
Congratulations.
Responsible for my first beer at 14 years old in the end zone, the tunnel end zone of Rich Stadium at the time. Can you talk me through that play? Because I got to be honest, I probably watched that play on YouTube like 50 times.
Well, I was, as everybody knows, I was a pretty good student of the game. And we had watched them, and I had studied them and studied the Raiders, and I was like, he's going to throw this ball here. Walt Correa told me he's going to throw it to the dig every time that guy goes there. You know it's going to the dig. So I was on third down. I took my drop. I got to the dig, and I had 2 interceptions that game. Ray Bentley had 2 because Ray came in the game and played for me when we got up. Ray came in the game, and I told Ray the same thing. I said, look, every time he get in this formation, he's throwing the ball to the dig. Got to go to it. Got to get a little bit further up the field than the hook and get to that dig. And you get to it, you got to pick. He got 2 picks. I got 2 picks.
Yeah, you outran Tim Brown. You outran Tim Brown to the end zone.
Yeah. But see, I didn't have any speed, though.
No, man, I've watched that play so many times because as a fan, that's the moment you felt like you guys were going to win that game. Like, you go up 21-3, and you ran the route. You were right. You were sitting on that route, and as a fan and as a kid, I remember that moment, and I remember thinking, oh my God, they're going to the Super Bowl.
So at the close of this, I put together an outro, and it includes every guest that we've ever had on, and now it's going to include you. And that is the pick of you. I have some videos of you from when we went to Berlin in the preseason game in 1993, and I was one of the few people that had a camera. So you're going to see stuff of you you've never even seen. Janine's in there too.
Wow.
You got to watch. You got to share it too. But
yeah. So
the year before, you played in Cleveland. So the 1990 Bills had 3 really close games in a row. It was, of course, the crazy 77-second 3 touchdowns against Denver, the Raiders game at night, and then the play with the Jets came down to the end. We had with Jamie Mueller, who we had on, and he talked about that play. But then it was like you had to feel like, we know we're great, but we got to start teams out. And you went to Cleveland, who you lost to in the playoffs 10 months earlier, and you had a blowout, and you had another pick 6 in that game, I recall.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, it's hard to tell people the way we were. We were just, as they would say, we were just that dog. We had 6 or 7 people, 5 people on either side of the ball that could really take the game over and make it go our way. And we would hold each other accountable, which a lot of people didn't do. Everybody just sort of did their job, but no, we held you accountable. If you're on the field, you didn't cover the guy you were supposed to cover. When you got back to the huddle, we had a discussion about what you were supposed to be doing.
Discussion.
Did you know? Did you guys?
And if you got beat, you say, "Hey, I got beat." Okay, well, we can't let it happen next time. You can't get beat more than you win. You got to win more than you get beat.
During those 4 years, Darryl, in most games, did you guys walk on the field knowing you were the better team?
No.
No.
I never walked on the field thinking I was better than anybody. Always went on the field with the idea that somebody's coming to take food out of my mouth. And I'm one of them people that I want to eat. I want to survive. I want to live. So guess what? I'm going to be greedy Grady. I'm making sure I take care of me and mine. So y'all know where you're going. You get to your play. You make the play there. I'll make the play over here. And that's the way we did it. We did it as a group, and we did it as a group, and we held each other accountable, and we would not let any outside noise come into our room. In our locker room, that wasn't going to happen. If somebody was mouthing off in the paper or said some shit in the paper, we're going to get on you right now. We're not going to have that. You say something wrong, say something crazy. If we didn't like the way you played, we're going to tell you.
Yeah. I love the way you frame that, because we talked about the, quote, bickering Bills a little with Metzler and John Davis, and they kind of downplayed it. Then Chris Hale came on. He was like, oh, man, that stuff was real. He also said you were the best football player he's ever played with, by the way.
Thank you, Chris.
But he's, I think, holding people accountable. Naturally, that's a conflict, but it's a good kind of conflict, right? I mean, look at the results it proved in terms of the team's record and the way you had to appreciate that amongst yourselves to make everybody better.
Yeah, the thing is, unlike a lot of teams sometimes get divided, but we were like a band of thieves. I mean, we were essentially Robin Hood. That's what you could have called us Robin Hood if you wanted, because that's how we were. We were going through Sherwood Forest because everything we went into was high and tall and hard. So yeah, we wanted to go in and we wanted to prove that we were better. We wanted to say we beat you, and we beat you convincingly. We beat you on defense. We beat you with special teams. We beat you with offense. We could beat you in a myriad of ways. And it didn't matter to us. The end all be all was that W at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
As long as we got more W's in the left-hand side, we got L's on the right.
Yep.
Can you give me one player on offense and one player on defense from like the Super Bowl years that people might not know how good they were? I mean, obviously everybody knows you and Darryl, you and Bruce and Thurman and Jim and Andre. Can you give us like maybe one guy on either side of the ball that in practice and maybe was a backup that is just way better than people would have remembered?
No. The person I think that doesn't get enough credit for what he did, because he actually set the fronts for us. He called out the protections for us up front, and that was Ken Hall, my counterpart on the other side. I mean, Kent was as good as they came. I didn't think there was any better.
His son, Drew, reached out to Josh on Twitter, was so excited that we were doing a program about, your era, and we're going to have him on, and I'm sure he's going to be thrilled to hear that.
Oh, but let's put it this way. His dad was every bit of Hall of Fame center that I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody do some of the things he was doing. I mean, some of the fights I seen on the field, he was not taking any wooden nickels from anybody. Tough, call him tough, because I'm telling you, you grabbed that country boy, you grabbed a whole lot of badness.
I love it.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, when you grabbed him, you grabbed a war. You didn't grab a fight. You grabbed a war.
That's great.
Oh man, yeah. Eric Wood, who I've gotten to know from the current team, studied the old Bills teams, and he once said that someone told him once that they reminded him of Kent Hall, and he said it's the biggest compliment he ever got. So you mentioned
I'd have been smiling from ear to ear.
Yeah, he was really moved by it. So you mentioned Walt Corey earlier, and of course he passed away I think a couple of weeks ago. What do you remember most about Walt Corey?
Walt Corey, the guy who took the chains off. He took the chains off of me, allowed me to play. Great coach, great man. I'm sad to say I lost two great men this year. I lost Walt Corey and I lost my dad. And both were very instrumental in the way that I played and the things that I did. The thing about Walt would look at you. Back then they were running a counter tray and everything was to be spilled outside. So we're playing the game. We're going to spill it outside. Cornelius looks at me and says, Darryl, why do we keep giving ourselves up on the counter? Why don't we try flatheading the guard and seeing if we can make the tackle? Because already when people ran the counter against us, we were so quick. We got down and closed the counter down. We were at the guard's face by the time he got to the center. So if we hit him flat up, we could slide up the field and make the tackle, plus cause the offensive. We hit the guy on the face, hit the guard first, which would cause the tackle behind him to stumble, and we could slide off and try and help make the tackle on the running back because the running back took a counter step away. So he stepped away from you, and by that time he took the step away. We gained a step. That second step, we were at the guard. The next step, we were hitting the center, and there's the guy just now starting to come back. So we could actually hit the guard and make the tackle. So we started doing that, and Walt Corey said, I don't know about that. He said, that ain't the way our defense is set up. Our defense is set up for to run the hump. He says, but if you do that, you better make the play. He says, if you're going to take a chance and you're going to do something outside of the frame, you better make the play. Because if you don't, when you come to the sideline, we're going to have a conversation.
He let you guys play, though. He trusted you.
Yeah.
Yes. He gave us options on every play. He gave us options on every play. Let's say defensively, we had options where I could change the defense, or I could change the stunt, change the front. I could change everything right there at the line of scrimmage. I knew where to go. I would set the front, and we'd be off and on our way. Mark Kelso controlled the back end, so all we had to do was just make sure that we knew what was going on.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Walt. You mentioned your dad too. I remember your dad being at so many games. I think on the phone you told me like he was at like every game and John's game. That's amazing.
Well, we grew up in Cleveland, so my mom and dad were big and active in our lives, and they would come to all our games. So if my brother played in Cleveland that week and I played in Buffalo that same week, one parent would go one way and one parent would go the other. And usually both parents went to whichever game was at home. So yeah, my parents were really active in our lives and our careers.
Do you have any thoughts on the 2022 Bills?
Oh yeah, that's a hell of a football team. Don't get it twisted any kind of way. They're a good football team. They play defense really well. They did something we never could do. That was be first in the National Football League in defense. We couldn't do that, but we were very adept at taking the ball away from offenses.
Do you watch them? Do you watch them every week?
Oh yes.
do you get angry with them now? Do you get when something bad happens? Like, are you what kind of fan are you? Like, are you a loud fan, a quiet fan? Like, how do you watch the game?
I am a loud. I don't go watch the game at anybody's house. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Because I'm going to yell and curse at the TV.
I love it.
I figured.
I love it.
So, Darryl, your wife Janine, you mentioned too before, she is unbelievable on social media. Queen of media.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun to follow, and it's nice. It's nice for people my age and older. It feels like you guys are members of like the Bills Mafia now, and it's really cool to be able to connect with guys like you that I looked up to as a kid, and to hear what you're doing now and to follow you and your wife and all of the stuff on social media. Just it's a fun thing for people like me.
We don't want to keep you. You've given us a ton. We are so excited for Bills fans of this era and the 90s era to hear what you have to say. It's been a blast, and I know that you've been real busy, and so here we go.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Darryl.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
Classic.
Darryl
Yeah,
Talley.
he's the best. So
Yeah.
Don, we're gonna play our new feature of the wheel of failed Bills coaches.
I'm gonna fight you. I'll play along.
I will remind you, you were the director of football administration in what years?
Well,
2005 to 2017.
Yeah.
And how many?
There a 1, 2.
How many playoff
All right,
appearances?
I'll give you that. I'll
Okay.
give you the wheel of playoff drought coaches.
Sure.
Because some of them were good coaches, which unfortunately we didn't find out till they went to other teams.
Of course. So for Twitter character's sake, we're going to call the wheel of failed Bills coaches.
All right.
So we're going to go today with Eric Studsville.
Eric Studesville.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your choice for today, and give me 90 seconds.
Okay. Eric Studesville coming back. He
Running backs coach.
Absolutely. He was running backs coach under, I think, Mike Mularkey.
Yes.
Very personable guy. He worked the building. Like you talked a lot about there being a separation between coaches and the rest of the staff. Mm-hmm. He just busted right through that. He would come talk to me, come talk to anyone. I think he drank stay tuned. He drank 20 Cokes a day.
Nice. Wade had a 12-pack of Diet Dr. Pepper in his little mini fridge every morning.
Really?
And he downed them all. 12 a day.
Yeah, I think, wow. I mean, Eric did too, but he worked out a lot. He looked like he was built like a fullback. He was running backs coach. The players loved him. I think he had Travis Henry, might have had Willis McGahee. That was his time. His wife was a beautiful lady. She was the head of the sports administration department at, hope I get this right, Canisius or Niagara.
Okay.
Whatever one I'm wrong about, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But she taught seminars about, the business of pro sports. I think she was a former basketball player.
Okay.
And
that's good. That's good. You did good there.
It was good. And he went on to have a perfect example.
Okay.
I think he got a Super Bowl ring with someone after us.
Hence why it is called the wheel of failed Bills coaches.
All right.
Not failed coaches.
Okay.
It's failed coaches with the Bills.
Important distinction.
Who
did he get? You have to look it up. But I remember whatever Super Bowl it was, and good for him. Eric got himself a Super Bowl ring.
What percentage do you think of the coaching staff was typically liked by the perms, by the other side of the building?
Well,
what would you say, 50-50?
It's tough to say. They always wanted to give him a chance, but there was such a range of a scale of no engagement to Eric being not full engagement, but close enough. So it depended on how you were treated, of course.
Sure. You know, in our very, very first episode, I told the story of my favorite Karl Mock.
Oh my God.
And I feel like I could probably tell it again here for our new listeners and on video, and maybe give a little some
Sure.
Okay.
I never get tired of hearing it. I hadn't heard it in years, and then you did it on the first episode.
So for context, yes. I had just been promoted over to the football side of things, and the chasm between the marketing department, the merchandise department, and the football side of the building was almost like they were two separate buildings,
right? And
with two separate staffs, and I had been there for a number of years, and none of those guys would have known who I was, knew my name, nothing. So I get promoted. I'm excited. I have not yet found where I'm going to have my desk, what my responsibilities are, nothing. But the first day after I had been interviewed by, Coach Phillips, John Butler, AJ Smith, I walked into that room in that interview completely unprepared for the idea that I was going to interview with the entire front office of the Bills for a job that I didn't even know what I was going to be doing.
That should have been mentioned to you. Yeah,
I'm glad Max didn't, because I would not have slept. So he actually did me a favor by doing that. So it's the first day that I'm over there. It's 9:30 in the morning, and I'm bright-eyed and bushed out. And this is like March, where nothing's going on. It's pre-draft.
I know you're going to write something. We actually have a visual thing here.
So this is
go with it.
This is as crude as it gets. But there's a whiteboard in the back of Max's office. Okay.
Yeah.
And every coach had a TV, the computer, and a whiteboard. A decent-sized whiteboard.
3x5 or yeah.
So I'm facing Max, and we're just kind of shooting shit and whatever else. And in walks Karl Mock. Now, I had been there, like I said, for a couple of years, and Karl, he was a larger-than-life presence on the sideline. MF this, just a cartoon character.
He was famous for. being on the sideline and just losing it, like veins coming out of his neck and screaming, and just complete loss of
Former
control.
offensive lineman, had been with Wade for a number of years. He played for Wade's dad. He played for Bum.
Okay. In fact, I think later in his career, I think he was the center on that team, and he blocked for Earl Campbell.
Yes. So when we were in Kansas City, side note, I met Bum.
Oh, yeah?
And I remember how excited my dad was that I met Bum Phillips.
Cool.
And I guess I didn't realize, because I was one generation below that
Right.
age, I didn't realize like what a legend Bum Phillips
Yeah,
was.
I grew up a Steeler fan, and I kind of actually liked those Oiler teams. He had a big hat on.
Love You Blue,
His
right?
character-
That was their thing.
Yeah.
And I remember Wade wanting to win the game because his dad was in the crowd in Kansas City, and we ended up winning that game. So anyway, so Carl comes bouncing in, and I think he knew I was there, and I think he did this. I've thought about this many times over the past 20 years. I think he knew that this was coming. So he comes out and he grabs a marker, and he takes the marker and he draws a line. He's like, "Hey, kid," and he talked just like this. I mean, it's like he ate a pack of cigarettes. "Hey, kid, see this?" I'm like, "Yep." He goes, "See this?" "Yep, I do, coach. I refer to everyone as coach." He goes, "Dot here, and then he draws this like weird looking fish, and I'm like, he's like, "You see this?"
That's a weird looking fish, by the way.
And I'm like, "Yeah,
It's a terrible fish.
It's a terrible fish."
But
Well,
for the record,
Carl wasn't an artist.
You're doing it upside down.
Yeah, so
we get it. We get it.
So fish, 2 dots, and then he just takes the marker and he just jams this down here. I remember he just like did this. And he goes, "You see this?" And by this time, I'm getting a little bit aggravated, and I'm like, "Yeah, coach, I see this." He goes, "All right." He goes, "This is a whale," and he goes, "These 2 dots, this is whale shit." He goes, "You get it?" I'm like, "Yep, got it." And he goes, "You see this dot?" And he takes the marker and he's just jamming the marker into the whiteboard, like literally gonna break the marker. And he goes, "You see this?" I'm like, "Yep, coach, I sure do." He goes, "That's you." He goes, "You are lower than whale shit." He's like, "Don't ever forget it." Takes the marker, throws the marker at me, walks out of the room. I turn around. Max is looking at me. I threw my hands up in the air, and Max goes, "Welcome to the NFL, kid." And I remember, I'm like, what do I even do with that?
It's a great story all these years later.
I'm pretty sure I walked out of the office and I went directly down to your office, because right then and there, I'm like, did I make a mistake here? Because I had gotten comfortable. I'd been there for a few years. The job wasn't really all that challenging. It was fun, but I'm like, did I make a mistake? Because this 325-pound man comes into the office, calls me lower than whale shit.
That was rude.
Yeah, and what am I going to do? So for the next 3 or 4 months, the hallways were narrow. There was only 2 separate hallways that you could go up and down. So you run into the coaches every day. I'd say, "Hey, coach," never spoke to me. Never.
He really meant it. Yeah.
He would not. He did not speak to me until training camp.
Wow.
And the first time he spoke to me at training camp, it's because for some reason he had this thing where he was getting custom hats made for the entire coaching staff. I don't know why or how. And he asked me for my hat size. And as some of my friends will laugh as they listen to this, I have a large head. Okay. So I go, "Yeah, coach." I'm like, my head size is 7 3/4. He's like, "Jesus." He's like, "It's as big as Ted Washington's head." That was the first time I spoke to the man after 4 months after he had called me lower than whale shit.
I'm trying to think if that's even progress. Yeah, the fact that he included you in the hat deal.
He included me. I felt like I had made it by that point. Now I had put in, hundreds and hundreds of hours by that point. I felt like I was making some progress. That was like my graduation.
You're probably, I can picture you during the day. You got the hat, and I walk by his office, take it off again.
When I got the hat, I made sure to come in. I thanked Carl. I said, "Coach, I really appreciate that." I think I still have the hat.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think I still have that. The hat kind of sucked. It wasn't great.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a great story.
It was
a place for that.
It was a weird custom hat. I don't know what the story was, but he was real proud of this. Like this was his thing. So give me another story about a coach, or some memory that you have of something funny. You know what we were talking about the other day, the cafeteria. You have a good cafeteria story?
I got it. It was not the Bills cafeteria, but it was on the road.
Okay.
Oh boy. Do I step into this?
Yes, of course you step into it.
All right. So I think is he the offensive line coach again for the Bills, Aaron
Cromer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was an incident he had where he had Florida property or something, and he got in a fight, and he ended up throwing the lawn chair.
Okay.
And somebody sued him. I got all sued out, but
it's on Google.
Okay, it's
there.
Public record. It's there. So we were in, I forget where, some hotel, and we were eating in the meal room, and I was next to I think Scott Birchtold and Greg Brandon, and Greg we were talking about the weather, and he was talking about, he was from Miami, so he was talking about hurricanes, and he said that there was one time that he thought he prepared his home well enough, for a hurricane.
Okay.
But once the hurricane started, he forgot that this is him saying it, but I forgot to bring in the lawn furniture.
Oh.
At that exact moment.
Oh.
Aaron Cromer happened to walk past and just heard
lawn furniture. Oh God.
And looked, and we were like, the timing
it's
was
amazing.
Horrible. Like, how could he not
think that you were talking about him? Of course.
Of course. And we never talked. We never apologized. He never. I don't know. It just was so awkward. We were just like, let's just try to forget that.
There are a lot of volatile personalities in an NFL locker room, and between the coaches and the players and the trainers, and their egos, and there's that in any organization. But that mix of people, is very volatile, and they're all together. It's a family. You travel together. You all go. You all eat together at the same time. You're all in the locker room together at the same time. You spend 6 months for 12 hours a day. Like it's an interesting mix
for sure
that can either go great or it can go sideways real quick.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, Cromer's a really nice guy. It was whatever happened. The incident, it was his word against the other party and went to court or whatever. But I just have to believe that whoever the people were on the other side, just whatever they did to get under it had to be pretty bad for a guy like that to get his temper.
And he walked past a conversation and just heard lawn furniture.
Yeah. And we were like, and I told Greg, and he could tell because it was behind him. And I said, he goes, what? I go, just as you said, lawn furniture. Aaron Cromer walking behind.
There's probably
no way.
There's probably not two words. There's probably not two words you could have said that would have been more offensive.
No.
You could have said any two words.
Guys, you're right.
You could say any two words, and he wouldn't have been as bad as lawn furniture. That was the worst two words in the English language.
Was that even a 1 in a million or 1 in 10 million? Like, it's crazy.
That's really
anyway.
So
that's I've been thinking about that era and with Eric Studesville. I can't remember if they were together. That's the thing too. This happened. What's relevant to this topic is you and I kept in touch after you were let go with the whole staff getting wiped out, and it could have been a few years later, and you said, I heard from maybe James Saxon or something, and I would be like, James Saxon, I guess, oh my gosh, that was 3 staffs ago,
right?
Like that's with the Bills, like those years, it was too much.
Churn.
Boom,
20 people, 20 families.
Mike Malarkey was 1 year.
Was it 1 or 2? Didn't he quit after the second year? I think it was 2.
Was it 2?
I think it was 2. 2 years.
Could be.
Yeah, I think the minimum was 2.
Okay.
The minimum was 2 for all of them.
I was thinking it was one time.
But like we've talked about before, it's not just the head coach.
Right.
It's the head coach. It's all the staff. Sometimes it's the strength guys.
Yeah.
Right. It's
well, that's I see the game, and I'm seeing the games and seeing Eric Ciano and Hal Luther there. And I'm like, good for them, man. I think they came in with Dick Geron. Or maybe Chan Gailey. They keep being held on to, and are great coaches, good guys, but it's unusual.
You beat the odds to go through
they caught up with me.
7 administrations.
Something like
3 GMs, 4 GMs to get through that many.
Something like that.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was a great run. It caught up to me, but hey, I wouldn't be doing this.
Let's do our countries now. Can you explain to people what we're doing?
Okay, good call. So when we first started, we had trouble. Easy, we got on Spotify. I got to talk to you about Spotify.
Yeah.
Okay. Apple though had this problem where we couldn't get on. We found out after tons of time spent up at Galleria Mall at the Apple Store, that it was just a case of it wasn't letting us on because we had to go to the countries tab, which was 3 deep, and deselect all the countries and then either select them all. But I thought it would be a fun exercise to have us incrementally select the countries to come back on. So.
And we've had some interesting discussions and viewpoints of the countries as we've gone. So as usual, I'm going to let you go first on, and I'm going to brace for impact.
Brace for impact. We all know here it comes. Here comes a soundbite, whether I want one or not. I am going to go. I did Sweden. I did Norway. I'm going to keep building that part of the country up and go with Finland.
Finland. You know what's funny? That's funny you picked that. Last night I was in the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I wasn't going to pick it. Last night I was in the. I didn't watch the Sunday night game. I was footballed out. Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I'm emotionally spent.
Right.
I'm footballed out. So I watched this thing on Netflix called The Tinder Swindler. Highly recommended.
No kidding.
This guy, the Tinder Swindler, and how it relates to Finland is that he went on Tinder and pretended to be this multi-billionaire diamond, like son of a diamond guy, and he targeted women in Norway, Finland. He would get them to go on a couple dates with him. He basically was running a Ponzi scheme, and he was getting these women to buy into the fact that he was a multi-billionaire. And that he had all these security risks. So he would wine them, dine them 1 or 2 dates. They'd become his girlfriend. He'd spend like $10,000 on them. And then he would say that he had some kind of like security risk, and he would need them to take out loans for him that he'd pay back and all the rest. He stole like $10 million over the span of like 4 years.
From based on a true story?
This is completely true story. They were interviewing all the women who got scammed.
No kidding, wow.
They had Interpol was involved, and they actually, I don't want to give away the ending, but it's called The Tinder Swindler on Netflix.
Wow.
Yeah, good thing your daughters are both taken, because it would terrify you to any kind of social media. And this guy was a scumbag.
When my daughter was, I want to say in high school, that first Taken movie came out, and she had a party here at our house, and she had like 8 or 9 of her teammates all watching. They get cozy, and they're watching Taken, and I wasn't like planted in the room, but I was around.
Okay.
And I just watched their faces, like they were in such shock of the whole premise and the whole concept, and I thought to myself, good for you. This is a lesson to, not trust everyone that comes your way. Finland, also, another side note, is part of the plot of, to me, one of the greatest moments in American sports history, of course, the 80 gold medal.
Absolutely.
Everyone talks about the game against Russia on the Friday night.
Yep, but they had to beat Finland to win it on
that Sunday, and they were down.
This is the greatest quote in sports history to me. In that game, they were down 2-1 going into the third period.
The Finland game?
The Finland game. And Herb Brooks walked into the locker room, and he goes, if you lose this game, you'll take it to your fucking grave. That's exactly And Mike Ruzioni always tells that story. And they came out and they scored 3 third-period goals. And I think to myself, that's the greatest speech of all time. He's so right. Like, if you lose that game.
Was that the movie? No, because they ended with the Russia game. And then
they lost
narration,
Well, because that's not exactly a Disney.
So he really meant that. He really meant that. Right. They couldn't put that in the Disney line.
So
under that context here.
We're gonna wrap up here, and I'm gonna pick the country of Wales. And I'm going to do that because the World Cup starts Sunday.
Okay. That's your second World Cup reference.
And the United States opens Monday afternoon, next Monday, against Wales.
All right.
And so that's I
like and it's in
Qatar.
In Qatar, right?
Which I had picked earlier.
So they can hear it. They can hear our podcast.
Well, I'm sure they'll pregame. They'll pregame with the I'm sure there'll be one of those big watch parties out in the central square of Wales, and they'll be playing If the Walls Could Talk in Buffalo.
Perfect.
The reaction to the Cleveland Browns Bills game. That's going to be amazing. So we're gonna wrap it there, and we'll see everybody next week.
Looking forward to it. On to Cleveland.
Now listen up. All you ever ask for is an opportunity. You got it today. Where else did you rather be than right here, right now?
I want to bid you now farewell, but not goodbye.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Today is a bittersweet day for me. Memories, many of which Mr. Wilson has alluded to, flood my mind right now. I'm surrounded by my thoughts and indeed by the presence of friends unparalleled. Visions from a lifetime of thrills keep flashing before me, and yet the future beckons, and I look forward to it with excitement and anticipation. Because I'll tell you something, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. So I advanced it on that. And we finally came to an agreement and decided to move forward. And so now my time with the Buffalo Bills, in my opinion, has come to its natural conclusion. How do I begin to thank all those who have been instrumental in enriching my life here? Well, I can't do it adequately, and I know it. I can't adequately. But I remember you all fondly and forever.
Fox, so it's an early day. Be sure you get your taping and breakfast in. The meeting tomorrow for all players will be an 8 a.m. meeting. Enjoy your day today, fellas.